Hello everyone, I'm Casper Kuma and welcome to It Paints Me. Endesis. I don't know what that means. This game contains depictions of themes of violence, death, body horror, chronic illness, grief, and dysfunctional relationships. Okay. Boop. Every night I find myself alone in the studio, curtains drawn tight, my neat row of paints, palettes, and brushes in the same place on the drawer by my easel. The canvas upon it sits, as always, unfinished. Marie's half-painted face frozen in empty song. It's laid out, as it always is when I awaken here. Marie is nowhere to be found. She must still be at the theater. Even when the curtains fall and the stage lights dim, the night is forever young to its star sopranos. I would always wait outside her dressing room, roses in hand, scores of other bright-eyed admirers spilling through the halls, though she alone was mine, and I was hers. It's cold, bitterly cold tonight, but still I draw the curtains and open the windows wide. There's a stench in the room, deep and damp and sickly sweet, that I can't ever seem to be rid of. Besides that, the fumes from the linseed oil makes my head spin. Like every night, I measure out my paints, arranging the small dabs of color on my palette from lightest to darkest. Titanium white and cadmium yellow, to corpse brown and lamp black. I've never heard of the color corpse brown before. I feel like that's a red flag. I wet my brush with oil and gently start mixing the pigments. It feels just a little bit like magic, watching them swirl and mix, forming new colors from old. I paint her... well, you have to start with her face, I guess. I guess you don't have to. I mix a tone of pale as her skin and apply it with a generous dab of oil to the Marie on my canvas, but the paint just doesn't blend. The color of her cheek stands out like a garish smear. I sigh and scrape it off with my palette knife. I mix a deep blend of black and red for the background instead. I must have painted and repainted the same background countless of times. To say it's difficult to paint by lamplight, my muse is nowhere in sight, is an understatement of course, but lately, these nightly hours are the only time I find myself able to lift my brush. Just silence this real quick. Okay. I stop every few strokes. Spirits. It hurts. Spirits. I had joked that the pain that forced me away from the tailor shop meant I could finally return to my paintings at the very least. I was never any good at humor. Marie had sensed my worries, consoled me, sweetly, in her voice that could charm stone to life. "Oh, Sam, don't worry. I have rolls lined up for months. Go ahead and paint. I have lines rolled up for months. Go ahead and paint. We can still live comfortably." It hurt, a small part of it did, beyond the physical, beyond the ailments, to seek her permission. To be unable to care for my darling the way I had when we were young, brimming with talent but crushingly unknown. Well, she had been. I was, and still am, nothing. But perhaps finally it would be now my turn to bring my vision to the world. If only it didn't hurt so damned much. Time passes and I still don't manage more than a few strokes. A small patch of dark over an already wet canvas. But perhaps time hasn't passed at all. The broken clock on the wall would suggest as much. Perhaps the seconds have lain still, the world outside unchanging, and I, the only thing that moves. Have I moved? Is repeating the same brush strokes like clockwork dull movement? I shiver and sigh. Perhaps sleep would be a better endeavor. Perhaps the night will meet more success. I stand, setting aside my paints and my palette, and slowly moving to shut the windows. I stop. There, out in the front garden, barely lit by a street lamp, stands a figure that can only be Marie. She bids goodbye to another figure, tall and broad-shouldered, and then she laughs, a beautiful laugh, a heartfelt laugh, and embraces him before he makes his reluctant exit on the carriage stopped by the gate. Oh dear, we're about to awaken some yandere, I think. For a moment, I don't know what to think. A friend, a co-star, perhaps that amiable tenor she mentioned every now and then. I didn't see his face, but Mary's social circle has always eclipsed my own. It must be, but why would he have come to our home? Why would she laugh that way? In the garden, in the midst of walking to the front door, humming to herself, Marie suddenly looks up. For a moment, her eyes go wide, and she blinks as if she's shaking herself from a daze. I instinctively step back from the windows. Perhaps it's guilt that makes me do so. Marie is finally home, and oh, I've missed her so. How could the first thing I see upon my darling be the worst thoughts my mind could conjure? For the first time in many, many nights, I feel just well enough to leave the studio. I'll prepare Marie a pot of her favorite chamomile tea. I'll listen as she tells me of the nights, the theater, the 1,000 small anecdotes she never runs out of, and maybe, just maybe, ask her again to sit for a portrait for me. Like she used to. The house feels larger than it used to. Perhaps I was shut in the studio too long. Still, how could I so quickly become a stranger to my own home? The memories are fuzzy. The years blur together like a wash of oil colors. My mother and I, carrying our sparse luggage, stepped inside for the first time. My stepfather, laughing, his elbows on the breakfast table, chattering over something he'd read in the paper. Then silent hallways and empty rooms. And then myself, welcoming my new bride to these solitary halls, hanging our newly taken portraits above the mantel. The walls are barren now. I feel the walls in the dark, leaving sticky trails of paint behind, tracing the places where I used to hang. The photographs, the paintings. You're a painter. Wouldn't it be the paintings? The paintings I'd framed the seaside landscape I painted on our honeymoon, the watercolor sketch of Marie that couldn't hope to capture the sheen of her hair, the still life of the roses in the cracked vase. Oh, how my darling loves roses. Are we sure we still live here if the house is empty and Marie seems kind of surprised to see us? Are we really? Is this really our house anymore? Gone, cleared away. Did we break in? Something doesn't seem right. The naked walls stare blankly at me. Confused, but with nowhere else to go, I continue through the house. As I walk, I pass the furniture my stepfather left me. The shelves and tables that always seemed so large and grand as a boy, now missing or mantled in thick white linen. Is everyone here dead? They remind me of the corpses on a hospital table, lying dead still, covered in sheets. Marie? I try to call out, but phlegm blocks my throat. I cough long, drawn, and wet, and then once more attempt to hear her name. To voice her name. Marie? It slicks off my tongue like a serpent uncooling. I had always loved her name, so tender and sweet, free of harsh syllables. Marie. It was like a name in an impressionist floor, painted in soft strokes with a fine oil brush. It was the greatest joy in the world to join my name to hers. Silence fills the halls, a long, drawn-out silence, a held breath. Finally, my darling answers. Sam? Is this a dream? Are we dead? I cough again, another long, wet trail dripping from my lips. Is it a good dream, darling? I don't know. It feels like a nightmare. An awful, wretched nightmare. I limp towards the sound of her voice, so musical, so lovely, even at the brink of tears. Don't cry, darling, I want to say, but thick, syrupy liquid fills my throat. No matter what troubles you, I am here. Are we? Like, did we slit our throat or something? I was like, are we choking on our blood or something? She stands at the edge of the staircase, shaking, a candlestick in hand. The steps are sticky and wet, and I inch carefully, practically at a crawl, not slip. My darling lifts the candle as I approach. In the dark of the house, its flickering flame almost blinds me. I don't see the expression on her face as she screams. Marie? Where are you, my darling? Every word feels like a dagger puncturing my throat. I limp down each hall, leaving a trail of steps that feel damp and heavy, slick and wet. We're leaving a trail of blood, man. I tried the door to our bedroom. No, Marie's bedroom. I had started sleeping in the spare one when my coughing fits would make her wake at night. It was cold, so cold, alone, but my darling needed her rest. The knob is slick and hard to twist, my hand slipping on the brass. Finally, I managed to push the door open. Though it's completely dark when I peer inside, I know it is empty. No warmth, no flesh, no sound of sweet breath but within. I continue down the hall. I trudge, my steps heavy and wet, trying not to slip over the thick, slick surface. Marie, what's wrong, darling? Please come out. I don't understand. The dining room is empty, truly empty. The shelves where the china and silverware were once neatly stacked now gape hollow. The walnut table is covered in a thick white sheet, the matching set of chairs removed. I rest against a blanketed table. My hand leaves a ruddy smear against the sheet. It must be more paint, though it's hard to make out in the dark. I'd needed spectacles for quite some time, but Marie had never liked the bookish type. I continue on through the familiar yet unfamiliar house. My steps strained and slow, my breath short, sticky, wet. I think we might be a ghost or something. I don't think anyone actually lives here. Marie, where are you? Oh, Marie, it hurts. Won't you come to me? I hear the front door slam shut. It must be freezing cold out. Why has she gone to the garden? I tread to the sound with new urgency, uncaring of the sticky, wet floors, forgetting for just a moment the pain that snaps and burns through my flesh. I reach for the oily, damp knob. Don't, Sam. Please. Her voice rings from the door behind. From behind the door, sorry. I don't understand, darling. Have I done something to upset you? Her sobs echo loudly. I never thought an ugly sound could come from my darling's lips, but her words... I love you, Sam. I always will, but I can't bear to see you like this. Please, I beg of you, return to where you came. You can't be here. I've moved on now. Oh, I think we are a ghost haunting her. What? Return where? Dearest, you aren't making any sense. Moved on? I'm your husband, Marie. What on earth is there to move on from? Please remember, Sam. You were ill. You were ill for a long, long time and you never recovered. I know that I'm unwell, Marie, but you said that I would still... Are you leaving me? Because I can't care for you anymore? Is that why? You left me. You're dead, Sam. You've been dead for more than a year. If this is a joke, darling, it's a cruel one. Do you want me dead? Is that it? Am I better off dead to you? My darling does nothing but sob behind the door. How quickly I regret my words. Oh, if only I could see her face, look into her eyes, reassure her that, and see that she still loves me still. I twist the knob with slick, oily hands. No, don't come out, please. On the other end, with a sharp gasp, my darling grasps the knob close, pushing the weight of her small frame against a weathered wood. Don't come out! Oh, I don't want to force her. Let's save. Let her go. I let go of the door, my hand slicking off its oily surface. Forgive me, Marie. I can see you don't wish to speak to me right now. But whatever you do, whatever this is about, I'll be waiting in the studio. I leave the door, I leave my darling alone, sobbing in the garden. It's dark, so very dark, but dawn will soon paint that dim black sky. I retrace my slick, wet footsteps through the hall, up the staircase, one trudging damp step at a time. Spirits, it hurts. It burns. I feel no breath in my lungs. My chest could be a hollow cavity, slippery and wet, spilling with hot, sickly fluid. It hurts. Oh, it hurts. I stagger into a tall, sheet-covered object, the linen sliding off with the grasp of my clumsy, slick fingers. It's Marie's floor-length mirror. We don't have a reflection. No. Oh no. No, 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 no. Oh, that's much worse than I thought. Holy crap. Oh god, I can see why she would never want to open that door. Jesus Christ, she should have moved. That's horrifying. Oh my god. Have the freaking Titans living in your house. I'm in the studio, a dark, dim studio as empty as it is every night. The curtains are shut, the lamps are unlit. The palette is a mess of murky colors, rust reds, corpse browns, a musky, sickly, sweetly rotting stench fills the room. I don't know why the smell of linseed oil ever bothered me. Is that like embalming oil, I wonder? After all, I no longer breathe. The handle of the door turns behind me. Slowly it creaks open, and a figure steps inside. Ugh. It's me. He limps more than he steps in crooked motions against the floor, dragging his body along the wet, wide brush as swathes of red pull at his feet. I watch him pull himself before the canvas. Samuel. He speaks in my mother's voice, a pitched cry of command and dependency, derision and affection, pride and disappointment. Give up your suffering. Give up this. Come into the earth with me. My hands are too slick to hold my brush. I stab it into my flesh and fix it between my bones, then dip the bristles into his blood. Sammy. He speaks in my stepfather's voice, wistful, choking back tears, the same cadence of his goodbye as he hugged me against his uniform, the dog tags cold around his neck. Don't suffer anymore, Sam. Forget your pain. You're nothing already. Come into the void with us. My brush is drying. I plunge it into his chest, wet it with his oily breath. Sam. He speaks with my voice, hoarse and raspy and tired, so very, very tired. This won't make you worthy of love. Not the world's, not Marie's, not your friends or peers or critics. Come back to our grave, end our suffering. You know I don't do this for love. I clean my brush with the paint thinner, knocking over the jars as it spills across the drawer and onto the wet, soaken floor. I dry the bristles on my worn, rotting shirt, then soak it in the thick, white mucus of his tears. My words are only partially true, just as his words are not fully wrong. Neither my rotting corpse nor the memory of what was Sam will gain a thing from this toil. I paint the hours away, or perhaps take no time at all. The clock on the wall never turns its hands, suggesting that the world lies still. The second never passes, and I am the only thing that moves within it. It hurts. Oh, it hurts. Heavy, syrupy tears flood my vision, filled my throat, my chest choking me. Every movement of my hands leaves cracks in what's left of my brittle bones. He stares at me all the while, silent, still, like a mirror. If I loved him, I would stop. I would crawl to my grave like he wishes. But I love this more than I love myself. I birth him from within me. As I create, so too am I born. And he and I are beautiful. Well, you look a lot less horrifying with skin. Ending 2, self-portrait. Huh. Okay, well let's go back here and force our way in. Oh, let's save. Okay, now let's load. Force the door open. No, not until you tell me what's going on. Are you leaving me, darling, after everything? I need you. I need you. My darling utters a sharp cry as the hinges groan against the frame, loosening her grip as she stumbles back onto the cobblestone path. I instantly forget her sharp words as I limp towards her side. Marie, are you alright? I'm so sorry. Stop it, Sam. I'll keep you alive. Every time I sing, I'll sing for you. I'll keep you in my song, in my art. Oh, but it hurts. Her shrill voice grates against the ooze spilling forth from my ears. It hurts. It hurts. My head rings. My chest is a hollow cavity, slippery and wet, flowing with hot, sickly fluid. I cough and spew more syrupy, warm liquid from my lungs, lips. Bleh. Your art? It was always about you. Your fame, your voice, your needs, your wants, your desires. You were a work of art, of course, but did you ever think about me? Did you ever think about poor Sam dying alone in a cold white room? Poor Sam who couldn't even hold a brush in his hands at the end. Poor Sam left to rot into nothing. A year was all it took to forget me? I'm shaking her, leaving smears of dark, muddy pain over her pale shoulders. The next moment she breaks from me, running blindly into the street. The carriage doesn't stop for her. Of course it doesn't. Oh, my dearest is wisps of dark curls, a black gown billowing in the night like a shade. She should be light as a breath, soft as a mist. Oh. But the song that comes is a scream of her breaking bones, her ripping flesh, the breath that leaves her lungs. Ah, but every sound my darling makes is beautiful. I scoop her massive flesh and deep crimson hair into my arms. Her blood pools around me, syrupy and dark, a color so deep no artist's pigment could hope to capture, the pure scarlet or vermilion red, a dull stain in comparison. It is not Sam that I'm seeing staring back into the deep pool of our blood. Ugh. My darling is a lovely creature, even broken. I gently carry her up the steps, one slick, damp, crooked step at a time, setting her massive jutted bone of viscera and flesh and on the velvet seat in my studio. The fabric soaks it deep, so very deep. It's dark, as it is every night. I leave the lamps unlit, the windows shut tight. How strange that the stench of linseed oil ever bothered me. After all, I no longer breathe. My darling sits still, ever so still, not a breath escaping her broken flesh. What a lovely model. Oh, what a wonderful thing. All the more beautiful now that it surely hurts to sing. Oh, it is agony to hold a brush. It is as it always is, but I can bear it. Oh. After all, who can truly create without pain? Oh, no. Oh, poor Marie. Ending 1, Muse. Our other ending was ending 2, right? Let me just check. I don't know how many endings this game has. Okay, it does have 2 endings, so that's all. That's awful. Sam is a horrible person. Just wanted to see what this all was. Ugh. Why don't we have his scary face? Where is it? Because we get hers. Oh, maybe it thinks we're like, it only saved us our progress from the first one. I see. Okay. So that's all for this time. I feel like Sam probably would have still ended up killing her even if he didn't die from his illness. He just seems like an incredibly jealous and awful person. I feel like regardless of whether or not he became a ghost, he would still probably be the death of Marie. You know? I don't know. He doesn't seem right. Poor Marie though. Like she moved on. She like met that nice guy that was making her laugh. Oh man, she should have like moved to a different house. Not kept the one with the ghost in it, I think. I mean, I don't know ghost rules. I don't know if they like I always kind of figured ghosts were kind of like, I don't know, locked into one location, like wherever they died, that's where they reside. But then again, if like some people are like, I'll haunt you when I'm dead or whatever, like maybe the ghost has the option like follow you for the rest of your life. That sounds awful. Either way though, Marie, poor Marie, this guy sucks. But that's all for this time, so let me know what you think of the game down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. This is Casper Kuma, over and out.